I was talking to this guy the other day, and he told me he was in the film industry. So naturally I said, "Oh, what do you do?" And he said, "Well, I'm an actor." Cool, right on. And then he said, "And a producer." Okay. And then he said, "And a writer." All right. "And I'm doing some graphic design because I just designed my own lookbook for this film that I'm working on." Okay. And as we were talking, he said, "I don't mind wearing multiple hats, but I don't want to wear all the hats," which I loved because he just pretty much summed up what it means to be a creative entrepreneur. So first of all, the question is, are you a creative entrepreneur? Let's break it down. Creative just means you're bringing something new into the world, novel and useful. Entrepreneur means you're bringing something into the world and you're trying to make money. Put them together, novel and useful, trying to make money. Brilliant. Now, I've been to a few years of college for art. I got a 4-year degree, and then I went to grad school and I got a 3-year degree. So that's 7 years. 7 years. Not one time did anyone mention the word entrepreneur. Rarely did anybody mention the word money, and rarely did anybody mention the word business. Now, I gained tremendous skill in my schooling. I had high quality education, amazing professors. I learned how to talk and think about art in a totally new way that's been so beneficial. I learned materials that I never would have dreamed of. It was spectacular. But there were not very many opportunities to learn about the business end of being an artist. Being an entrepreneur just means being your own boss, setting your own strategy, determining what it is you want to make, determining if there's a market for it, finding the market, selling it to the market, and managing your inventory or managing whatever it is that you're offering. So if you're a musician, you've got to deal with bars or clubs or venues. If you're an actor, you've got to try out for roles, etc., right? It's just putting yourself out into the world. So if you're creative, you might be wondering how to go about adding the entrepreneur part to the creativity. So I got 5 tips for you. And the first one is my favorite, and actually we could just stop with the first one because it's so near and dear to my heart, and that is work. I know, it's not sexy. There's this great quote that I love. If I ever considered getting a tattoo, this is what it would say: "The harder I work, the luckier I get." Let me just say that again because it's worth it. The harder I work, the luckier I get. There's this mysterious thing that happens in between work and opportunity. And I don't know what that is, but there's a partnership there. And you have to work to get good at your thing and to understand what you're doing. And then there is like luck and circumstantial situations that you can't possibly control that come your way. You meet a person on the subway and they happen to be a director and they say, "Oh, you know what? You're great for this role. Can you come in?" And then boom, you got a job. Now it's lucky that you sat next to director lady on the train, but you hopefully are able to show up at the audition and nail it because you are good. Number 2, possibly slightly contradictory. I don't want to confuse anybody here, but at early stages, it might be better to not ask your art to pay for your life. Now, I know I just am talking about being a creative entrepreneur where you are asking your art to pay for your life, but sometimes I think there's like a buildup to where you get your craft at the level that you're able to think about quitting that side job or the side hustles or whatever. I've seen it happen so often to my friends who are excellent artists who head out on a wing and a prayer, and then they're broke, and they're super stressed out, and they're sleeping on somebody's floor, and they don't have any creative energy because they're just trying to like get their next meal or pay their next rent bill. And creativity does not thrive in that atmosphere. Creativity will be like, hey, why don't you get yourself together and I'll come back later when you've got more time. So for myself, for probably 15 years, I had a side job of waiting tables. I loved talking about food and wine. I loved that it was flexible. I loved the high energy atmosphere, and I loved the cash money. And that supported me for a long time when I was getting my craft together and I was applying to shows and I was doing exhibits and I was making work and I was going to critiques and I was creating a network and all the things that you have to do that you don't get paid for. So one thing is, I'm not telling you that you should work for free or undercut your value, but I am saying if you just picked up a new skill, you know, a couple months ago and now you want to run off somewhere and try to sell it, you're probably not ready. Some brilliant person commented on YouTube that you should repeat a creative expression 100 times and then it will become yours. And I heartily agree with that. I think if you're like watching some YouTube how-to video and you're like, ooh, this is really cool, and you follow the steps and you make something awesome, that's great. Amazing, I salute you. Now do it 100 times. Third point, find your niche. Are you into anime? Okay. That's a broad niche. Let's say, are you into goth anime? All right, there we go. That's a little bit more narrow. Now you can maybe find other people who are into goth anime, and you guys can form a community, a little posse around making your own goth anime. Trust me, there is a community out there that would love to embrace you and your goth anime dreams. I promise you. Finding community is so essential. Another word for it is networking. To me, sometimes networking feels a little negative the way it's used, because it's like, oh, go to a cocktail party and chat people up. That does not sound like fun to me. That's not my kind of thing. However, I love talking to people. I love hearing about what creative things people are into. I love asking them questions about their craft and about their work. So, hey, oh wait, that's called making a friend. That's called community. So if you can find your niche / community / network, you can create some energy around what you're doing. It feeds you, it feeds other people. You're able to like, oh, there's a goth anime exhibit coming up. I can apply for it. Awesome, etc., etc. Number 4 is like a subcategory kind of number 3, which is create your own niche. So let's say you're into anime, and let's say you're into goth anime, but maybe the community is already pretty big in goth anime. What if it's anime goth rainbows? Or what if it's anime goth rainbow kittens? I mean, that sounds like a great Instagram page right there. That's a freebie. You could just take that for free. Don't everybody sign up at once. Goth anime rainbow kittens. Things will get out of hand. Go for it. Just go for it. All right, 5th one. It might sound like kind of a bummer, but it's actually one of my favorites, and that is learn to love rejection. I talked about this a little bit in my last vlog, but it's really important for a creative entrepreneur. Any kind of entrepreneur is going to get rejected. They're going to be pitching their ideas all over the place, and most people, I would say 90%, are going to say no. They're either buyers or funders or stores or whatever. They're going to be like, nope, not our thing. Because the entrepreneur is coming up with something novel and useful. The creative person is coming up with something novel and useful. And sometimes the novel and useful things are outside of the box, and it's hard to know where they fit for someone, say a gallery owner or a director, the more you get rejection, the better you are at handling it. It's like, oh, yep, file that in, I tried, which is a much more positive way to handle rejection than someone didn't like me, my life is terrible, somebody, I just want to go lay down and watch Netflix. Don't do that. Don't do that, guys. Don't do that. Get back out there. Show off your anime goth rainbow kittens again. The world needs them. Please, the world is waiting for your thing. All right, there's tons more to say on this topic, and no doubt I will have more for you next week. Please ask any questions, any comments about how your creative entrepreneurship is going. If you are into anime goth rainbow kittens, please send me a private email. I want to see your work, and I really want to see your work. And thanks a lot for watching. If you have a minute, please subscribe and give me a like, and I'll see you again next week.